Welcome back to Guff Stuff Weekly Podcast. I'm Javen.
And I'm Guff.
Today we're going to talk about a genre of video games.
I don't know what it is.
Very near and dear to my heart. Rogues.
Rogues.
This covers roguelikes, rogue-lite, traditional roguelites, rogue deck builders.
Okay. So what you should do then, because we didn't start using that term until about a couple years ago. It's roguelikes and rogues and all these different games. They were called something completely different years back.
What were they called?
They were just called games. Like, if you wanted to play a roguelike game, you just called it by its name. There was no genre for most of these games. They were just... And now, like, when you guys were talking about, I'm like, why are they calling it a roguelike game? You're not running around like a rogue. What the heck?
So the etymology
of
the term comes from the game Rogue.
Yep.
It's an old school, turn-based, multi-directional movement dungeon crawler.
Yep.
And basically, the idea behind the game was you go on these what are called runs, and you start out the same way every time. Sometimes there's modifiers to it, sometimes there's not.
Right.
But you're typically controlling a character, and you're running around and you're exploring a dungeon, or you're attempting to achieve a goal, and you try to achieve that same goal every time, which is beat the end game boss or whatever. Right. And the way that you go about it and the way perks you can have along the way determine how easy or difficult the run is.
Okay.
So the game itself, Rogue, I don't know a whole lot about the history of it.
Oh, I don't either. I never played it, so...
I have it on Steam. You can pick it up on Steam nowadays.
For like, what, $2?
Oh, it's dirt cheap. I think it's like $3-4.
Oh, yeah, so not too bad.
And that's a very good entry to the traditional roguelike.
Okay.
And when I say traditional roguelike, that is games that are modeled after the game Rogue.
Right.
Some of my favorite traditional roguelikes are Caves of Cud, Cogmind.
I didn't play that one either.
And then Tales of Maj'Al. And then the kind of the granddaddy of the whole format, Unreal World. Unreal World is a game that has been in development, I believe, over 20-some years. And it's still updated frequently.
Okay. So it's someone's life passion.
It's a Finnish developer, a single guy.
So just sitting around,
typing
in some stuff.
Yep.
Gotcha.
The game is less than 50 megabytes. But it has infinite replayability.
Okay.
And what it is you're set as a tribesman in the Finnish countryside in medieval times.
Nice.
And it has everything from... It's a very brutal game, very hard to survive.
Right.
Well, and it's open-ended. There is no end game.
Is it safe to say that most roguelike games are?
I'd say they're difficult.
They're not. The learning curve is a little steep.
Yeah, but wikis are your friends.
Yep.
And then let's get into like the next one, which is roguelites. That's L-I-T-E.
Right, instead of light.
So it's like a diet rogue, if you will.
Gotcha.
And games that are good roguelites, you have the Sunless series, the Sunless Sea, Sunless Skies, where you go around and you travel on a boat or a train through the cosmos.
Okay.
You have games like Wizard of Legend, Oregon Trail, I guess, could kind of be considered a roguelike.
Yeah, I mean, technically.
The one that really got me into them was Faster Than Light.
Okay.
FTL.
Hyper Light Drifter.
I would call that more of like a Legend of Zelda clone.
Oh, okay.
But Children of Morta is a really good one. Crypt of the Necrodancer is kind of a juggernaut when it comes to it.
Dang.
That's a rhythm-based...
You're saying a lot of stuff I've never heard of.
Dead Cells is a really good one. And the key element in a lot of these is randomness.
Yep.
The worlds oftentimes are procedurally generated. Okay. So they're generated so that you're different every time you go through them. There'll be some similarities, like the biomes will be similar.
Right.
But the direct path that you take a lot of times is different.
Okay. Is there any major AAA titles that are considered comparison to all these?
Honestly, I'm trying to think. Most rogues are indie games.
Right.
I feel like that's a safe statement.
Okay.
I guess some of the big juggernauts of the rogue genres would be Darkest Dungeon.
Right. Okay. That's a getting up there in title name.
Yeah.
Even if they just advertise the heck out
Dead
of it.
Cells.
Yep.
Slay the Spire.
Yep. Is that a card game?
That's a deck builder roguelike,
game, yeah.
which is another genre of the rogues.
Of course.
So you have Slay the Spire. What are some other deck builder ones? Oh my god, I'm sure you guys are just shouting at me right now. Luck Be a Landlord, Loop Hero.
I've seen Loop Hero. I've never played it.
Loop Hero's pretty
pops
fun.
up quite a bit on my Xbox Game Pass.
Banners of Ruin.
Okay.
There's all sorts. You could literally search. Griftlands is another big one. And the whole idea, again, is just that the infinite replayability of them.
So what about a game like Diablo or, I mean, that's...
I guess Diablo does have some rogue elements to it.
I wonder if like that was where the original Diablo stuff came from. Well, that's been around for a long time though. But it is definitely random, but there's always a set group of bosses you have to go beat. There's certain devils, you have to beat this devil first, and then demons, devils, whatever.
And see, in a rogue, you'd be able to skip some of those, come back to them.
Right. Well, I don't think you have to beat them in the same order.
Yeah.
I think you just have to say, like, to get to the Diablo boss, you have to go through and beat all of his minion bosses. Yep. But whatever order you want, I guess.
Another one I recently picked up and started playing was called Noida.
Okay.
And that's a dungeon crawler where you play as a wizard and you get special wands and... Rift Wizard is another one.
So there is like an RPG aspect.
Yeah, a lot of these have RPG elements to them as well. And a lot of times the rogues are blended with other ideas.
Right.
So be it RPG, deck building, shooters. There's some rogue shooters out there.
Yeah, so as an assess, the game I just bought here not that long ago is probably considered something similar. Because the mission's always basically the same. It's just a matter of how you get there. You can get there through using magic. You can get there through RPG or fighting. You can use a bow. And the world changes. Procedurally generated every time you play a new game is different.
Oh, another big element that I guess I glossed over is a lot of times it's permadeath.
Yep.
So there is no saving and reloading and all that.
Right.
It's when you die, you start the run over.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the big draw to these is that you learn as you play and you get more experience and you level up as a player, essentially.
Right.
In the fact that you unlock more perks.
Right. So
it's not leveling up a character.
You're just leveling up the player itself.
Yeah.
Your persona.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good way of putting it.
Fair enough. That's kind of cool. I haven't played too many then. I mean, I've played Caves of Cud and stuff, but interesting games.
Yeah, I guess let's talk about a few of them then that I've mentioned.
Well, I've mentioned Caves of Cud in another previous podcast. I don't remember when it was, but I do remember playing it the first time. It was a little struggle because there's no like instructions. There's no manual. There's no big exclamation points or arrows telling you where to go.
Nope.
You literally just do what you're gonna do, and you do it.
Yeah.
But the randomness of it all is quite insane. I think the first time I played, I got to level 2 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like 8 days in and I died.
Yeah.
And then I was dead. Then you start over. The second time I played, I was dead within 30 seconds because they spawned this big evil red NPC, run around, killed all the NPCs. And then it murdered me. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, so Caves of Cud is a post-apocalyptic. It's got magic. It's got psionics. It's got
everything.
Technology.
Aliens.
It's got
Weird.
mutants.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
And it's a game that the more you play it, the more you realize the less you know about it, or the how little you know about it.
Right, yeah. No, and that that's a fun kind of game to play because you never stop finding new things out.
Yep. I have 200 hours in Caves of Cud, and I have never beaten the game.
Right.
I haven't necessarily tried very hard to beat the game.
Right.
But I've had I think my longest character I had was about 10 to 15 hours of gameplay. And
dang, man.
Yep. And I actually died because I teleported into a wall.
Oops.
and I violated the Pauli principle of exclusion, which is a physics term.
Right.
And
so you paid the price.
I paid the price. But some cool things you can do in that game. You can possess the minds of other people and control their bodies. You can create temporal copies of yourself and have 10 of you running around the map. You can cut off your limbs and put on cybernetic limbs.
The game is so crazy. It's so crazy.
Yeah. Some of the achievements in it are a good example of just how wacky the game can be. One of my favorite achievements is eat an entire bear.
There you go.
So you have to kill a bear and eat the entire thing. That's an achievement.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. I want to do that in real life.
Yep. Another one is to thine own self be true. And that is wear your own severed face on your face. So you need to get your face cut off and put it back on.
Isn't there doesn't that Caves of Cut have a lot of hidden achievements that maybe are just unique to you two?
Yeah, there's I think there's over 100 achievements for it now.
And they don't tell you, there's nowhere to find out what they are.
I want to say 10 to 15 of them are just completely hidden.
Right, which is pretty sweet.
Yep.
So you just accidentally have to bump into them.
Yep, there's achievements for completing water rituals with
I think
gods.
I might have gotten one of those achievements when I got killed within 30 seconds of the game.
Probably.
I think there was an achievement for... I don't remember watching all my friends die, and then I died too within 30 seconds of starting the game.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't remember what it was. It was really weird, though. I'm like, holy crack. The game is crazy.
Yep. If you want a really good overview or a good 20-minute half-hour video on Caves of Cud, you can check out Seth Sintach on YouTube. He's kind of a controversial figure.
Yeah.
But he makes some good, funny content.
I think you're going to play one of those games, though. You pretty much have to have an open mind.
Yes, I agree.
Because if you don't, I know in Caves of Cud, if you can't handle cutting your face off and then putting it back on, then
it's not the game.
You shouldn't be playing that game. You should go back to playing some Nintendo games.
Another one I want to talk about is Faster Than Light.
Yep.
And that's a game where you are put on a spaceship and you can unlock all the airlocks. You can control basically everything about the spaceship, weapons, all that fun stuff, and crew members.
I think I might have played that one before.
And basically what you're doing is you're trying to run away from you're a rebel ship and you're trying to run away from a massive army. Okay. And so you go and you explore these points on the map with your ship, and it could be random what happens. You could end up in a nebula storm and all your electronics get shut off, and your oxygen supply is damaged, and the replayability of it is
ridiculous,
infinite.
Nice.
I think.
Well, we got the respawn, and every time you start over, everything's different. You can't just go, I'm going to go back to this place because it was the easy way. Well, that way's now the instant death way.
I've seen people with over 1,000 hours in this game.
The freak.
And it's a phenomenal way to go. It's dirt cheap. The graphics are simple. You don't need a monster computer to run it or anything.
Yeah, that's the bonus of most of these indie games. You don't have to have the bet. You can use your cheap HP computer for the most part.
A lot of them are on console, too.
Yep. Yeah, I did notice that. I noticed, Loop Hero was on the console. I think Slay the Spire might be.
Another big one, Dead Cells.
Yeah, I think that one might be too.
Yeah, that's definitely on. I know it's on Switch for sure.
I think it might be on. I think I've seen it on Game Pass.
Dead Cells is a kind of a Souls-like as well. So it's kind of got a Dark Souls vibe to it, where you can fight enemies and kill bosses and
lots of
explore the map. Every run's a little different because you spawn with 3 different random weapons every time.
Okay. That's
and then
handy.
You can get different perks and stuff like that.
Right.
And then Darkest Dungeon's another one. And that's a game not for the faint of heart.
Right.
That's kind of an eldritch dungeon crawler, party controller. It's almost like a JRPG.
Yep.
Where you control 4 characters.
Right.
And you do attacks on a turn.
It's a side scroller too, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so if you have your rogue in the back or your wizard in the back, I Pretty sure you just can't cast through your guys, can you?
Certain abilities can, certain abilities can't.
Yeah, like even if you have your warrior in the back, you're screwed because he needs to be in the front.
Exactly. Party composition and placement matters.
It's an interesting game for sure. I haven't played a lot of it.
A lot of these can be arcadey as well. So like,
bring you back to the old days.
Yeah, I think so.
Or all you had was a one up and down joystick and 4 buttons.
Yeah.
Or even 2 buttons for that matter.
If you like the exploration and kind of almost like a psychological horror, I can really recommend Sunless Sea or Sunless Skies. Both of those games are basically all about exploration.
Right.
A lot of reading in those. They're based on the Fallen London world.
Actually, reading is pretty cool in games. I find myself getting distracted too easy. I never accomplish anything though.
There's a lot of fluff to read.
I think that's where the good stuff is. It's like playing Skyrim. Well, you can have 10,000 hours in Skyrim, but if you haven't read any of the books, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, you just have to do that. You have to spend some of your hours reading books in these games or reading texts.
Here's another cool idea, too, that you can do. People have done this with Pokemon. They've kind of turned them into roguelikes with I think they call them Nuzlocke challenges.
Okay. Not sure what that is.
Storm Sword would be a much better explainer at this, but one of the things you can do with games that you've played already, say you want to try to breathe new life into Skyrim, Pokemon, Minecraft.
Right.
You could turn them into roguelikes by playing within a constraint of rules that you set for yourself.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So that's something that kind of gets glossed over.
I actually watched a guy play Skyrim for many hours, and all he was doing is enchanting.
Yeah.
Took no other skills other than enchanting. And he somehow managed to get through a good portion of the game. I don't think I ever finished the series just because it's a lot of grinding.
Yeah.
When you're enchanting and you can't actually physically harm anything, it takes a long time to grind.
One of my buddies, Akarui, Luke, is doing that currently. He is playing through Skyrim and he's doing an enchanter-only run. Another one of my buddies, Gats, also known as Emerson. He was pretty notorious for setting constraints on himself in Skyrim. And then he would only do summoning or only do one-handed weapons or whatever. And so you can always spice up games that you've played by introducing roguelike elements to it. Like if you die, start over.
Right.
Go on a super hardcore mode.
Yeah, just be hardcore. Yeah, just be hardcore about it.
Or Iron Man saves and other games.
Iron Man saves.
So Iron Man is a type of save file where you only get one save file.
Okay.
And you can't manually save. You only accept auto saves.
Okay.
And then you can only ever load from that save.
Okay, so
So all decisions are permanent and stuff like that.
Right. That's the way it used to be back in the day. Back in the old day when you only had one save. You'd be like, well, crap. And I found myself getting stuck in many games because my save was corrupt. Or I got stuck opening a door. And the door would save you right there at the auto spot. Well, on the other side of the door. That actually happened to me in The Legend of Zelda. The one, Link from the Past. Is that what it is? The one that get Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild, okay.
The stupid Linus. I got stuck at a Linus that way. I went through a tower.
Oh, Lionel?
Yeah, Lionel. Sorry. Yeah. I'm thinking of Thundercats. But I went through a door, and the save, there was an autosave there, and the stupid Lionel would kill me every time. I was not ready for that Lionel at all. I had nothing to fight him. And you were stuck in this little tiny circle room with him. Well, I don't know if you ever fought a Lionel, but it's pretty tough to beat him when you have nothing to fight him with.
Yeah. And
you got weapons that you break and that do no damage to him. And he just sits there and just lightning cutes you to death.
Yeah.
I tried that 20 times to get through that one, and I couldn't, so I had to finally break down and go backwards farther.
Another big element to a lot of the roguelikes, too, is platforming.
Yeah.
So, platforming essentially is like Mario.
Yeah.
Where you're jumping on platforms, you're going over obstacles, you're avoiding enemies.
Yeah, well, when you play a game that's called a platform game, when the people refer to it as that anyway, well, they don't use that as much anymore. But it's usually, not always, but usually a side scroller. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, platforms. It's a vertical, you can go up and down, but it's usually just, you're going up and down to get to the farthest right point you can.
Yep.
Like, that's usually how it goes. Even if you have to go up to get to that place. And sometimes you go back left, but...
So I guess if you've never delved into rogues, or roguelites,
Right.
or roguelites, or rogue deck builders, I say give the genre a try.
Yeah.
I've given you plenty of stuff to...
I would say there's lots of information there.
To chew on and try out.
Do it. Go get Caves of Cud.
Yeah.
That's $5 you ever spent.
Yeah. I don't even know how much it is anymore. I think it's $20 now.
I think when I bought it, it was $4.99. But that might have been a sale time. That's probably why I bought it.
Yeah, it frequently goes on sale.
I know it stresses you out, though.
Yeah, that game, it's make sure you have your chai tea and are calm when you play them, because
or your whiskey coke.
Yeah, or your whiskey coke.
Whichever
you need to do.
Whatever you need to calm down, buddy.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, thank you very much for that roguelike intro. That was a lot.
Yeah.
I think I learned a lot, and I think they just put roguelikes as pretty much... It used to be just some very particular style games. Now it's kind of like, if it doesn't fit, we'll call it a roguelike or a roguelite or a roguelike type.
Yeah, and it's more of a mindset now than it is anything. I think, like I said, you can play games that aren't rogues in a rogue mindset, and it might breathe new life into them.
Yeah, for sure. Alrighty then, until next time, we will see you then.